beautiful. Please, a round of applause for the media team. A round of applause for them. Really lovely. Thank you so much. And it's really been an interesting one. From the opening, with Pastor Tosin, that was really powerful. Please, let's celebrate her. Let's celebrate her. Short, powerful, good enough to prepare us for this conference. And her first speaker, Mr. Bayo Haderi Bigbe. That was super. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your time in Nigeria with us. And the session that we just finished, oh my God. At some point it was like she just peeped into last week's service and she just dropped those bombs to reenact the things that we learned. That was powerful. This is BC. Thank you so much for gracing this occasion. I'm not going to be speaking so much today, and for as many people that are joining us today, we're really so excited to have you join us. I wanted to celebrate yourself. So very quickly within my own time, I'm not going to speak so much because later after my session, we'll have the Q&A session so that we can really do a whole lot more during that time. But I believe you can hear me good, is that correct? Okay, super. So I'm going to be sharing thoughts on a few things. I'm just going to be anchoring it on leveraging digital technology for effectiveness. I'm going to touch different things, but at the center of it is how we can be more effective leveraging digital technology. We're at a time in the world that people are busier. We are literally busier than the past generations before us. We are occupied. There was a time that in this city, not in another city, or in this city, there was a time in this city that people used to sleep as early as 9 p.m. in this city. There was a time in this city. Then over time, as things evolve, activities increased, commerce multiplied, it became a case of things begin to extend into the night. Now, there are people that actually operate 24-hour service in this city. In fact, within this building, this particular space that we are in, there's a supermarket that operates 24 hours. Right here. Right here. But of course, as a result of insecurity, maybe we're not getting that significantly in Lagos yet. But there are pockets of locations where you can get 24-hour service. That's how much, growths are taking place. But you see, what you also find out is that even though we have so many things that enable us to be able to get things done more, operate for longer hours, we also have a lot of things that literally could occupy our attention for that length of time as well. How many of you know that if you want to watch new movies, new episodes, back to back, for 6 months, non-stop, you don't turn off your TV, you don't pause your TV, you're just binge watching on Netflix. You can watch that length without repeating any video or any episode. That's how much content it's available to occupy that span of time. So we're at a time where it's very easy to be busy. Very busy. In fact, you can be on TikTok and you would not know. And you spend the first 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours. And it's very easy to say, oh, maybe we're on break or we're on holiday or you just say, but you realize that you've spent so much time just getting engaged in, in business. God didn't call us to be busy. The mandate He has given to us is to be fruitful. We can be busy doing a lot of things that are not productive. I like what, Mr. Deribigbe said about, it's not about being smart. It's about systems. You can be smart and you think about so many things that you can do. And you're trying to do so many things at the same time. But when you don't have systems in place, you're still going to fail, because it's not about business. It's about being fruitful. It's about being fruitful. And you see, in our world today, the way to win is by being effective and being efficient. Being effective, meaning that you've developed that capacity to know the right thing that you have to do in the right time that will get you the result that you desire. That's what it means to be effective. You are precise in what you are doing. And being efficient is you are able to get that thing done optimally with the resources available to you. You are able to achieve that goal optimally, the best version, the best way, the most excellent way you can deliver it, given the resources available to you. That's what it means to be efficient. We are at the time that, just speaking from the scripture that, Bayo quoted about the labor of fools, weary them all because they don't know how to the city. We are at the time that the major heat that people are experiencing, particularly in developing economy right now in the world, is the scarcity of cash. That's the truth. Scarcity in terms of access to fund, to cash. As a matter of fact, when you think about 5 years, back, 7 years back, 10 years back, the same labor you put into work, the same kind of work that you're doing right now, the value of the return or the income earned for that work is going to buy 3 times, 4 times what your current income for that similar kind of work is buying today. So you find out that significantly there has been currency depreciation. So there's been value depreciation when it comes to currency of a number of developing economies. I remember when I started doing my MBA, the first exchange, the first tuition that I paid, it was at about $360 to Naira. By the time I was paying my last tuition, because I had the chance to pay in modules, by the time I was paying my last tuition, it was already about $700. Sorry, 700 Naira to $1. Today, what's the current exchange? 1,380, 1,380 Naira and all that. So that's to let you know, dollar hasn't changed. It's the Naira equivalent that has weakened over time. And that has impacted the economy significantly. Inflation has increased. So when you look at it, the reality is that purchasing power right now is not as strong as it used to be. Now, as a result of that, a lot of people have now gotten into the mode of, I have to do a lot of things. in order to be able to keep up. Now, while that idea in itself, it's not wrong. The whole idea of thinking about multiple streams of income, how to get things to level up by dabbling into so many things, right? The challenge is that that busyness in itself creates an ineffective system for optimal performance. So you realize that where you could have spent longer time to hone your capability, to gain more insight, dig deep around an idea, in order for you to be positioned to becoming a world-class talent, you are sharing that time among multiple things that are just barely keeping you afloat. So a lot of times, the idea or the concept that we have to be able to manage the current situation we find ourselves is also the undoing for peak performance. So it's important that we begin to think about systems, about structures, about things that can help us enhance our effectiveness and our productivity. Bio gave an analogy about someone who could be, maybe moving from here to Oroshoki. If the person is facing Oroshoki, 100 kilometers per hour, you will get there. 50 kilometers per hour, you will get there. But the moment the person is on a wrong direction, no matter how fast you run, you can never, ever get there. One of the things that I really want us to do, and I think it has also been mentioned, is that we need to start auditing our life. One of the professors I respect so much, before he passed on at Harvard Business School, and he used to be a guest lecturer, different places, Professor Clay Christensen, he wrote a book. And those that know, they know. He's one of those people. He's the father of disruptive innovation. Anyway, don't let me go into that one. He wrote a book about how will you measure your life. How will you measure your life? By the time you think about your life, at the end of time, what will be most important to you? What kind of impact? What kind of appellation? What kind of, view do you want people to have about your existence while you were here? Those are the things that literally help rewire, reconstruct how we think about the utilization of our time. There are opportunities to add value everywhere. There are opportunities to add value everywhere. The question you want to ask is that, are you currently on a track or on a path that aligns with your innate ability to be able to add the most value? Because if you're on a job or trying to do business in an area that does not resonate with your innate ability, then you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle. So we need to figure out that in order to be effective in the direction you want to go. There is no point being a flashlight when you want to cut through metal. Have you seen when, maybe a welder or so wants to cut through any metal? You can bring all the torchlights in the world, at the metal. It won't make any impact. But you see, when you have a laser light that comes with precision, with focus, it cuts through literally anything to get the results. It's important we learn to focus, to channel our energy. Now, digital technology enables us to get by some of those things that could be major, major challenges that we currently have. I discovered that technology is not something new. It has always been inventions of God. When you think through the scriptures, you will see that leveraging technology has always been part of the design of God. Before the first rain ever fell on earth, someone received inspiration about a technology that could suspend human beings safely on water. Who was that? Noah. And he got all of the measurements, precise measurements, the dimensions, where there should be curves, where there should be rings, the kind of wood. All of those things were presented to him. So God is not averse to technology. God is the originator of technology. You know how new technology will come and people will say that, oh, this is evil. It's not. It's not. Everything that God created, He created for good. Every good idea in the hand of a bad actor will always be used for evil. Do you get it? So the fact that there are bad actors that are using certain things for evil doesn't mean that that thing in itself is bad. We just need more good people to use those good tools to achieve great results. So God originated technology. There's been a lot of conversation about AI and the fear that AI is going to replace people at work and all that. Now, that's not an absolute truth. AI will not replace everybody at work. Now, let me give you some idea. There are some factories right now that have become automated. So what happens is that in those factories, they don't need as much laborers as they used to need in manufacturing process. But will AI replace everyone across all job types? No. As a matter of fact, maybe the best way to put it is that individuals that have knowledge of how to use AI effectively will take the jobs of those that don't. Because AI has come to become an enabler of whatever we do in whatever aspect it is. It will interest you that something still as basic as taking notes. You see someone who is maybe a furniture, so you don't call them carpenter now, Abi. A furniture or a woodwork expert wants to do some things for you. And you are giving instructions. I want this way, I want this that way. Then you see the guy just looking at you, nodding his head. Just nodding his head. To him, every information that you've provided, he has captured. Then by the time he comes with the sample, where there is sample, or he comes with the finished work, then you're now screaming. This is not what I said. I said this should be this. I said, no, God, this was what he said. You see, all he needed to do was to capture on the note. To capture on the note. You can imagine the kind of pain that someone will feel. Because you are trying to manage business relationship, you decided to buy a bill for a client that wants to bury, his father or whatever it is. And you've now gone to your fashion designer to help you do this expensive material. Then all that you were telling the guy just, get there. Then by the time the thing land, see, there is something called notes. And it's one of the most neglected or misused app on the phone? In our world today, you don't need to remember everything. The demand, the stretch, all of those things on our mind is so enormous that you actually don't need to remember everything. But what you need is a vault, a working vault. As those thoughts are coming to your mind, as those ideas are coming to you, you're pinning it down. You're pinning it down. Sincerely, I like to take notes on paper or notebook or jotter, I was a fan of it. I have a stack of books in my library. But I realized that it wasn't easy for me to reference those things that I've written. I have those things stored, yes, fantastic. But now I am in Kenya, and an idea hits my mind, and I want to quickly go through. It's difficult. So part of the purpose of technology is giving you opportunity to be able to store up all of those resources. So right now, my messages are not, I make my messages on Google Doc. I used to use Apple Notes, but now I use Google Doc because now I can easily plug Google Doc to my Perplexity, and Google Doc will do some interesting work for me. I can pull information from the meetings that I've had, several weeks ago, draw insights, things that I've not put on my to-do. Do you understand? These are the power of the tools that we have right now. The tools that we have right now. You see, sometimes I ask people to come up with business plan. And when I see the quality of business plan that someone that is trying to get funding brings up, I'm like, no, this is not year 2000. That you need to go and pay a consulting firm to be doing, I mean, it used to be very expensive then. To do business, in fact, I remember that personally, I have charged people for business plan as high as, this is me as an individual, as high as 500K in 2014. Just think back. 2014 is how many years ago? 12 years ago, yes. The firm where I was working at that time were charging between 3 million and 6 million for business plan. But now, all you need is to have a free account, not even paid, free account on Cloud or ChatGPT. And you need to just sit down and share your thoughts, your ideas with passion and intensity with the app. And it will come back to you with some clear initial thoughts that you can further refine and use in your business. One of the challenges that people have is not that there are no opportunities in this country as far as career is concerned. When you're using the same CV to apply for different multiple jobs, just forget it, you're a goner. And now, the review systems, it's such that people are leveraging AI-enabled platform to review CVs. You're preparing your CV the way they used to do it in year 2000. And now it is AI that is doing initial screening. And Victoria, isn't it? You won't get it, no matter how good you might be. So what you can do is to simply use the platform, feed the platform with the requirements of the job, feed the platform with your profile. By the time you are done prompting, your prompt can be up to 2 pages of A4. People don't know. And you attach your current CV or the credential information that you have. By the time it presents it back to you, it tailors it for that job opportunity that you want.
Amen. Can you hear me? So let me just give you a personal system. A personal system that I think can work for you in what you do. A very quick personal system. Number one, build your digital vault. And what I mean by this is that set up a particular platform that is going to be housing your ideas. If it's the notes, if it's the Google Doc that I talk about, whatever it is, set up a system that warehouses your idea. You create folders for different ideas. Folders for your, for your business ideas, for your whatever it is, you can structure it. I have folders for my finances. I have folders for my personal development. I have folders for ministry resources. I have folders for, different folders. Create that vault where you can put all of this information. Now, there are some of this content or information that I create. There are some that as I come across them, I download them from the internet and save them within those folders. So that when I need to explore things on finances or on investment, I have them in the folder. And because there are different channels where we access information, you can also create this kind of vault in different platforms. For example, on your Instagram, do you have different folders for the reels that you see and the shorts and whatever that you see? Because you can create categories and save them in different categories. So immediately I see a very powerful information on finance, I just save it within the category of finance. So when I'm double clicking on some new thoughts, some actions I need to take, I can easily review those things.
Thank you. I can easily review those things. So how are you creating that your digital vault? For your spiritual growth, for your ideas. Don't just have things scattered here and there. You see, there are times that you see some things on people's display picture. How many of you have seen some powerful quotes on people's WhatsApp status and you're inspired? What do? Take the screenshot, drop it in that folder. Take a screenshot, you put it in that folder. That's how, in the midst of the noise, you are harnessing insight from different ways to build yourself. Then number two, it's important that you create an habit of, I call it mental offload. That every day, it can be in form of new ideas that came your way. It can be in form of, resolve from the conversations that you have. It can be in form of, you need to journal. Journal every day. Every day, you need to journal. There are some of it you attach the specific time where it happens. Journal. Journal. When this becomes an habit, it's easier for ideas to flow to you. Because you can't connect the insight that you glean from events, from conversations, from interactions, if you don't get in the habit of actually journaling, pouring your heart into your journal. So what that does is that, in a way, it helps you distress, but most importantly, you gain insights from that day. You gain insights from that day. Now, there are a lot of things that we need to do, and we have limited time. Use AI as your personal assistant. Use AI as your personal. See, as a matter of fact, there are some things that before I even send to, my executive assistant, I would have done the work. I would have done the initial. So when I do a voice note and I say this, and she comes, I say, no, this one is AI. I don't want AI. I have AI already. Go and think and add this one to it. Because now you have a standby executive assistant. No matter what level, what role, where you are working, you have a standby executive assistants. So please leverage AI. One, to identify the skills gap that you have, you can leverage AI. This is my role. This is the challenge that I'm facing. These are the opportunities I want to harness. What skill gaps do you think I have? And ask me any question for clarification. By the time you put in that prompt, he's going to come back. If you need specific, he's going to ask you, how many years have you worked in this role? What are the other things that you've done? He will take in those information and will now profile you and come back with insights. Leverage AI. Leverage AI. Leverage AI. And another important thing, which is probably what I will touch on last, before the Q&A sessions, is that, see, while you leverage these tools, and of course, leveraging here, you have to do it with wisdom. This is what I mean by wisdom. Part of the things that people are beginning to do is that you see people uploading their company documents, like their official company documents on AI. That shouldn't be. People are trying to use AI to solve their day-to-day task by uploading. No, that shouldn't be. Because they are sensitive information, But every day, when you get back home, after the day's work, always audit your experience for that day. What have I learned? What have I learned? What have I gathered? What decision can I make with the things that I've gathered? What insight can I glean from all of these things that I have? So it's not about just storing those things up in folders. You go back to them to check. See, what we need to be very effective, to be impactful in this generation, it's all around us. But we are so busy with the wrong things. We are so busy. Our time is consumed by the wrong things that we are not as effective as God really wants us to be. Whatever it is that gets you so busy that you don't even have time for God, it has robbed you of your destiny. It has robbed you of your destiny. So, and that's what, I like what Ms. Akitayo said about how do you start your day? You are not starting your day with your executive assistant. You are starting your day with God. You are not starting your day with entertainment. You are starting your day with God. I'm saying that because, yes, your mobile serves as your executive assistant. It serves as your medium of entertainment. It serves as your, means of productivity. But it should not be the first thing. The first thing should be starting your day with God. Starting your day with God. Starting your day with God. People these days use AI for different, in a fast world,